Good evening. It is Sunday, October 25th, 2020, and coming to you live from the new and improved Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me, as always, is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
I wouldn't say always, but hello.
Well, darn near. I mean,
darn near. We're really close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a high percentage of the time.
Sure.
And we are streaming live on YouTube right now. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports. We're on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, lambsports.com. You can find links to our past shows, and the current trivia question is always on there. First part of the show, as always, is brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting facility at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services, all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Sunday from 11 to 7. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. The phone number is 509-571-1449. The Range, educate, equip, and empower. So, lots of NFL football to talk about. That's where we're going to start. Let's just dive right in with what was probably the game of the week to watch, and that is Steelers-Titans.
Yeah, it was a really good one.
Really good one. Here is the call from the last play of the Steelers-Titans.
And Gostkowski in this range this year as he kicks it on its way. The kick is wide right. It is no good. He kicked it wide right.
The field goal is unsuccessful. The ball will next be snapped at the 35-yard line. First down.
And listen to this. Gostkowski's 4 for 4 coming in from 50 yards. He's now 1 for 5 in the 40-yard range.
So Stephen Gostkowski misses a 46-yard field goal that could have tied it for the Titans. The Steelers, despite Ben Roethlisberger throwing 3 interceptions, go on to win 27-24. They are the only unbeaten team left in the AFC. With this win, do you think, Parker, Pittsburgh's the team to beat?
Yeah, their defense is fantastic. I mean, it didn't look like it in the back half of this game when they were giving up that comeback, but their defense is fantastic. And if it's, I don't know where do they get receivers from? Because I knew they had Juju, but who the hell is Claypool? This Johnson guy, I never heard of him either. But it's like if one guy's not doing good, don't worry about it. The other guy's going to have a 3-touchdown day. So Big Ben looks on top. All that rest did him well.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson did catch a 9-yard touchdown pass from Ben Roethlisberger just before the half that put Pittsburgh up 24-7, and they literally hung on for the win. And the Titans, to their credit, they didn't give up. They came back. They had a chance to tie it. And, of course, the turnovers from Pittsburgh, the 3 interceptions didn't help them any, and it helped the Titans stay close. But 46-yard field goal is not a gimme, but it's something you kind of expect an NFL kicker to make.
Right.
I mean, just in my opinion, it's one of those things where I would say that's an 80% field goal. You know what I mean?
You just should. But there's a reason why you get paid lots of money to do that job is because it's a lot of pressure and it's not super easy.
Right, and that's the reason why they make them kick it, because we're not just going to give them the 3 points. So
right, exactly.
Yeah, so that was a good one. Other NFL action that happened earlier today, we can talk about. Let's see. So let's talk about Cleveland, Cincinnati. Cleveland, Baker Mayfield found Donovan Peoples-Jones for a 24-yard touchdown with 55 seconds left, and Joe Burrow's last-second Hail Mary fell incomplete as Cleveland improved to 5-2 with a 37-34 win over Cincinnati. Joe Burrow still, got that one win, and
just the one,
and he's been close. And to his credit, their team looked decent enough to win this football game. How about that?
That's absolutely true. I mean, when you win a game last second, it's probably kind of a toss-up who's really the winner here, who's the better team. So if you believe that the Browns are any sort of competent and this team took them down to the last possible moment, then you have to think that Cincinnati's competent as well.
And Cincinnati's lost some fairly close football games. So they're not a bad football team by any stretch, but they're playing in a division that includes the 6-0 Steelers and now the 5-2 Browns, along with the 5-1 Ravens, who are off this week.
Who'd have thought we'd be talking about the 5-2 Browns?
The 5-2 Browns. Now, I will make a little caveat to anyone who's thinking to jump on the Cleveland Browns bandwagon. They have been outscored this year already by 21 points, but they are still 5-2. They've lost to 2 good teams and won their games against everyone else. So
kind of handling their business, doing what they're supposed to do and now they're not.
Right. 2 of those 5 wins are against Cincinnati, who's won 5-1. So take that with a grain of salt. Cleveland's not. I don't see Cleveland as a playoff team as they get to playing a little bit more. I mean, we're almost halfway through the year, and they look like a playoff team. I just don't feel like they're going to be there at the end because they still have to play Baltimore and Pittsburgh again.
Yeah.
And those are going to be tough games for them to win.
Baltimore's really quiet this year.
Really quiet. 5-1.
Yeah. And everyone's talking about everybody else, and no one's talking about them.
And after 6 games, Baltimore's played 6 games, and they've only given up 104 points. They have one of the best defenses in the league, not to mention Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, not to mention. Their offense looks like it's taking a step back, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's entirely possible. We'll have to see. And against Kansas City, they look terrible. They're 1 loss this year. They were really bad. But we'll see what happens as we go along. So also this morning, Detroit, Matthew Stafford hits tight end TJ Hawkinson for an 11-yard touchdown as time expired to give Detroit a 23-22 win over Atlanta. Atlanta is constantly finding ways to lose, are they not?
They really are. Some of the people I was watching the game with categorized them as a dumpster fire. I don't think it's that bad, but yeah, they keep finding ways to screw it up.
They won last week and they scored 40 points and they looked good. And then this week, they had the lead and then just decided to just not play defense. They gave up on the play. Matthew Stafford in the backfield was under pressure. He escaped a tackle or an arm tackle around his legs and stepped out of it. I think the rest of the team kind of gave up. And once he bought that extra time and scrambled loose, there was nothing the defensive backs could do at that point. So
Matt Stafford's underappreciated also.
I think so. And the Lions are 3-3. They are going to be a factor, whether they're in the playoffs or not. They're probably going to be a factor in the playoff race because they're going to still play Green Bay and Chicago in the division. They're going to be a factor whether they actually win or not. They may win just the right number of games to cause someone else not to make the playoffs.
Right.
So they're a dangerous team. And Kenny Golladay, oh my gosh, is that he made a catch on the sideline? Did you see the leaping catch? Yeah.
Dude was about 6 feet in the air, horizontal,
and landed on his back.
Down.
Right, that's flat on his back and hung onto the.
It makes my old back ache a little bit just watching it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not getting paid enough if that's the kind of thing he's going to do every game.
Those are the catches they got to make. That's true.
That may have been Matthew Stafford's fault a little. So let's just say that. Also from this morning, New Orleans. Drew Brees threw 2 touchdowns, ran for another, and New Orleans improved to 4-2 with a 27-24 win over Teddy Bridgewater, the Carolina Panthers. It wasn't your classic game. The second half was meaningless of that game. If you watched it, it was 6-3. The second half was 6-3 New Orleans. I mean,
a whole lot of action.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of nothing. But New Orleans handled their business, playing at home. Got the win, and it's a division win on top of that. So it kept pace with Tampa Bay, who we'll talk about in a minute. But I thought this division was, when we started the season, this is the division. Look at the quarterbacks in this division, right?
That's what everyone thought.
And now it's Tampa and New Orleans, and then Carolina's 3-4, and Atlanta's 1-6. So
I think we said it. We all said the same thing, which is, they have great quarterbacks and Matt Ryan.
Well, I don't understand how Atlanta doesn't win. Man, Atlanta has Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, and Todd Gurley looked decent today. I mean, he only 60-some yards. It wasn't great, but he had 2 touchdowns. He still can find the end zone, and they still can't find it.
It's a defensive issue. They're scoring points just fine, but their defense just isn't making the right stops at the right time. It's just tough.
They can't hold on for sure. They're definitely losing them late. So,
yeah.
Also, NFL action from today, the Buffalo Bills, 18-10 winners over the Jets after spotting the Jets at 10 points in the first half. Tyler Bass hits 6 field goals for Buffalo, and they pull out the road victory. That was their only scoring, 6 field goals. And
as a Broncos fan, I get that because last week, Brandon McManus was our only scoring.
It was Brandon McManus-like, yes, for sure.
Yes.
Josh Allen was good. He just wasn't. They could not find the end zone. And
Right.
credit the Jets for playing tough, because this is a team that could clearly be folding and just giving in right now. But they played defensively. They played very well. They're a dumpster fire on offense.
I think you're more upset with Buffalo for letting it be this close, because they're much better. There's no reason it should have been that close.
Yeah, you're right. They are definitely much better. What I'm really upset about is that the Jets were this close to winning and couldn't win.
Right.
Because you're right there.
They're gonna pick it up in one game later this year, and they're just gonna ruin somebody's like wild card chances or something like that. That's how it's gonna happen.
Yeah, they're gonna play out of their minds in some game against New England or maybe Buffalo. They already played Buffalo twice, I think now. So Miami, maybe knock Miami out of the playoffs or something. So,
that's right. Miami playoffs. That's a funny joke.
Hey, Miami's in second place. We'll talk about them in a minute. Also, another NFC East classic between the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys. Kyle Allen threw 2 touchdown passes, and Antonio Gibson had 128 yards rushing in a touchdown. Washington dominated Dallas 25-3. Andy Dalton takes a shot to the helmet as he was sliding on a run at the end of the third quarter. He had to come out with a concussion, and John Bostic of Washington was ejected for the hit. I have audio of that play right here.
Dalton back to throw, and they protect him, and he rolls right and runs out of the end zone and slides at the 10.
Well, that's going to be a late hit.
He got nailed.
Yep.
It was.
He got nailed.
And he did too. They are not wrong. It looked like his head came off. The helmet went flying. The ball went flying. He was out. Just flat out. Had to leave with a concussion, and there's no doubt. The minute you saw it hit, you were like, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, it didn't look good.
So the Cowboys ended the day with Ben DiNucci at quarterback. Yeah? Everybody knows Ben. You remember Ben DiNucci. Everybody. 7th round draft pick out of James Madison. Everybody knows Ben DiNucci.
Oh yeah, good old BD. Yeah.
I don't. I've never heard of Ben DiNucci until today. I will be honest. I had no idea that they had a 3rd string quarterback. They paid enough money to Andy Dalton as a backup quarterback, and everybody was like, "Wow, this is the best thing ever." And now where are you? You can bet he won't be playing next week. And so now you've got your number 1 and 2 out, and Ben DiNucci is probably going to be the starter next week. And division is terrible. The Eagles are 2-4-1. The Cowboys are 2-5. The Redskins are now 2-5. The Giants are 1-6.
Talk about a dumpster fire.
Someone in this division is going to end up with 5 or 6 wins and win a playoff spot.
It's ridiculous.
And
it's ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
Because you're going to have teams over here that are actually really good in a really tough division who can't get in.
Right, Cleveland. There's going to be that example.
There's going to be a Cleveland who can't get in.
I can show you a team like Cleveland who's going to finish probably 10-6 and maybe not make the playoffs, as opposed to a team like Dallas who may somehow make the playoffs at 5-11 or
just a
6-10.
travesty.
It will be, but that's kind of the way it is. I don't know what else.
It'd be like that sometimes.
You win your division. Also this morning, so Green Bay and Houston. Aaron Rodgers bounced back from a poor showing against Tampa Bay last week. He had 4 touchdowns in this game against Houston, leading Green Bay to a 35-20 win in a game that was relatively easy. Would you say?
It didn't look like they had to try that much.
No, it was. This game to me was. It was classic Green Bay. They got out. They scored. They kept scoring. They don't. It's like they gave up some points. 20 points is nothing to sneeze at when you're giving up points. But they were ahead, 21-0 at the half, and then the second half was like a back and forth. So they didn't really. You never felt like they were losing control. They just kind of slowly pull away. That's usually what an Aaron Rodgers team does. They slowly score points, and you just get further and further behind. So I think it was a good bounce back win for Aaron Rodgers, even because he looked bad last week against Tampa.
Yeah, he looked real sloppy outside of that first big drive for them when they put it in the end zone. So
yeah, and I think Tampa, as we're watching them now, is improving maybe every week, and that's
Tampa looks good. And they're doing it without Mike Evans.
It's got to be scary for the rest of the league. Well, Mike Evans played today.
Well, but I mean, like
without really
he's not
being a
contributing.
part. Yeah, without him being a part of the offense, really.
They're using Godwin, and Gronk all of a sudden remembered how to play, so that's a big deal. That's the
Hey,
last thing that you wanted in that division was Gronk remembering how to score touchdowns.
he's been retired, dude. So let's cut him a little bit of slack.
It just that's not good news for that division.
It
But
really
yeah, they're doing it all kind of without Evans, and Barber looks pretty good at back. And once one person goes down, they're going to start including Mike Evans into this fold, and it's going to be a problem.
And they seem to be able to run the ball with Jones.
Oh yes, and they're getting Antonio Brown.
Yeah, and they're going to get. Well, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. It hasn't helped anywhere that he's been the last couple times, right?
I'm just saying, if it goes through and all is fine, and he lines up on the field, who are you going to cover?
Yeah.
Antonio Brown, Godwin, or Evans? Which of those guys is going to hurt you? Because it's going to be one of them.
I don't think there's enough passes to go around and keep all those guys happy. But
no, but there just has to be enough passes to win the game.
If all three guys are okay with, hey, let's take a win despite one of us being the number one wide receiver, then I think they'll do fine. But you know as well as I do that NFL players tend to have a large ego, and
some of them do.
When I'm the number one wide receiver and you don't throw the ball to me anymore, that's a problem.
That's what got Antonio Brown into this situation.
That is correct. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how they play with Antonio Brown. I don't know. I mean, he didn't help in New England when he
did absolutely. He played 2 games for them and was fantastic, and then left.
Yeah, that's what
he didn't help when he left. You're absolutely right. You can't help if you're not there. But when he was there and he was playing, he was a big help.
But it ends up being more of a disruption by leaving again. You know what I mean? He's there and now he's not here. Now we got to go back to doing something different than what we did last week. So anyway, I'm just saying. I don't know. We'll see. We'll wait till jury's out until he actually plays and catches football. So
we'll find out that. We won't know that till week 9 either.
Yeah, it's a long time. All right, so Kansas City and Denver. Daniel Sorensen picks off Drew Lock, returns at 50 yards for a touchdown, and Byron Pringle, not the potato chip guy. Byron Pringle had a 102-yard kickoff return for a score in the second quarter, and Kansas City pulls away from Denver for a 43-16 win. As a Broncos fan, how did that one feel?
Like what I expected when I woke up this morning. I know who we're playing.
Yeah. Is Drew Lock capable of winning in this offense with this team, or does he just need more help, or is he not the quarterback to lead this team?
You have heard me say this for years. Their issue is coaching. It's coaching. They have these. I watched a 2nd and 15 play today, and they ran the ball, one wide out. Everyone else was a lineman or tight end or a running back. And they ran the ball dead up the gut and got 3 yards. Plot twist, who'd have thought that was going to happen? They do these stupid things. They slam their head against a wall and wonder why it hurts. Vic Fangio is a terrible coach. He coaches like you'd expect an old white coach to coach. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Maybe throw it if we have to.
I mean, what's the quote from Remember the Titans? We run the veer option. It's just like Novocaine. Give it time. It always works.
Give it time. It always works. Well, that's not this team. They have every bit of talent necessary to be successful. I think KJ Hamler's a rising star. Jerry Jeudy's incredible. And he's super young. Can you imagine if he actually had a quarterback and a scheme that was worth a damn?
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton is fantastic. Noah Fant, he was hurt today, but they have the pieces. Melvin Gordon, oh my gosh, I cannot stand to watch this guy run the football. He does not know the meaning of put your foot in the ground and move.
Well,
he loves to shake and do these things and try and spin. And I watched him turn a 2-yard gain into a 5-yard loss today.
I don't know what to make of the Denver rushing attack. They ran for 177 yards today, so that's one thing. But it was 33 carries, but that's still a 5.4-yard average. Philip Lindsay looks like
turn it up.
He looks like the guy. I mean, he looks like the guy you want, but he doesn't. I don't know. For some reason, they don't want to rely. They want Melvin Gordon to be the guy, and I don't.
Well, and they were playing a team that was ranked 30th in rushing defense, so
right.
They had that going for them. And even then, Melvin Gordon still couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Philip Lindsay could do it. He was doing it just fine.
Right.
And then that was another thing. Philip Lindsay would gash off a 20-yard run, then gash off a 10-yard run. Then we'd run 3 pass plays in a row that are incomplete.
Yeah, they
And
don't.
I'm confused.
That whole just keep doing it until someone stops it. Nobody seems to remember that. It seems like that's not a thing anybody does anymore.
It's frustrating at times. It's cringeworthy to watch them play. And then there was, did you see the flea flicker gone wrong?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Melvin Gordon decides to toss this football like he's playing cornhole and sends it 2 yards over Drew Lock's head.
I mean,
just a turnover waiting to happen. Not only can Melvin Gordon not run the ball right now, he also can't toss it. He has zero function.
I think he probably hasn't played enough cornhole because clearly that was a bad toss.
That was a terrible toss.
But yeah, Melvin Gordon lost 2 fumbles today. That didn't help the Denver Bronco cause either.
Tough game.
Yeah, it was a tough game. It really was, and I don't.
But the losing was expected.
I don't think Denver's as bad as they look sometimes. I just think that they have a tough. It's a tough division now. I mean, let's admit it.
It used to be a tough division for everyone else in it.
Right, and this is a tough division to win now because I mean I know Las Vegas lost today, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But they also have the Chiefs and they got the Chargers, and it's going to be a tough division for quite a while because you've got some young quarterbacks in this division that are playing very well. Also, where am I? So also, San Francisco, in a game that saw 6 turnovers, the Niners defense looked pretty darn good for a second straight week, and San Francisco beat New England 33-6, despite 2 interceptions from Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy was okay. I mean, it was all defense. It was all the San Francisco defense, and the fact that New England's offense does not look good. Cam Newton did not look good today. They just don't seem. This was the 3rd straight game that they failed to score a first half touchdown.
Right.
And they didn't score a touchdown the whole game. So I don't know what they need to do, but Jeff Wilson for San Francisco had 17 carries, 112 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. But he did leave the game late with a lower leg injury. Just when you find a guy, San Francisco gets them hurt.
This game was my candidate for snoozer of the day.
I just
did not care what was going on. I did not care about this game at all.
And the sad part was one of those games that we got here on the West Coast. One of the games they broadcast because you got to watch the Niners and they're playing the Patriots, right?
I'm dying to know why we had to see both Tom Brady's current and ex girlfriend today instead of seeing Denver versus Kansas City. Why? I mean, I have Sunday tickets, so I have access to it. But why is that? Why is the game with the 2 teams that are west of the Mississippi not on TV? Why are we watching the other thing?
Here's what I want to know. Here's more importantly, the former University of Oregon quarterback and the former Washington State quarterback are locked up in battle in the NFL, and we didn't see that game either.
We couldn't get that one either. Yeah,
the whole Northwest was shut out.
There were 3 games that featured a West Coast team and an East Coast team, and that was the Chargers, the 49ers, and gosh, I can't remember the other one at the moment now. We just talked about it. But
Raiders, Buccaneers.
Raiders, Buccaneers. So I get that they kind of had to take their pick, but I mean, it was just frustrating. I'm tired of that New England game was a waste of our time. No one cared.
You're right.
No one cares. We got Dotson here. See, no one cared.
It did feel a lot like that. You're not wrong.
Well, because Seattle's going to win this division, right? So the 49ers don't really matter that much. And Arizona's probably going to be second at the rate they're kind of going. So what? I'm going to watch the 3rd place in this division team play the Patriots, who we're not sure who the hell they are anymore. So, it's tough.
Yeah,
West Coast problems.
we have it bad out here.
People think it's all sunshine and beaches, but no. It's rain and East Coast football on our TV.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So also, now we got to talk about our favorite player to talk about, and that's Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers. So Herbert continued his stellar play. 347 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and another 66 yards rushing and a touchdown on the ground as the Chargers beat the Jaguars 39-29. He looks and I know it's early in his career, and I know that everyone's going to say, "Oh, he's young and blah blah blah," but it really looks like this kid knows how to play football.
really does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
He's really freaking good.
it is week in and week out. His average coming into today for the last 4 games was 298 yards passing a game. He was fourth in the NFL over that period, and he threw 347 today, so he raised his average. He didn't throw an interception. He looked good. He looks like a real quarterback. This team has a lot of issues, the Chargers. I mean, they're missing Austin Eckler. They were missing Keenan Allen. He came back today and played well, but they've been without players, and he has put them on the cusp of winning every game that he's been in.
Yeah, and he's been an absolute threat.
And
every game.
Today they got to play Gardner Minshew, and they just, they beat a team. They gave up the lead, fell behind 21-17, but no worries. Let's just lead them back, and we'll throw a couple more touchdown passes, and we'll run for one, and we'll win. And yeah,
he looks really good, and he got the best situation. Joe Burrow went to a Cincinnati team that hasn't really been grateful to their players and has been kind of in disarray. And Tua went to Miami, who's kind of got the same situation going on.
Right.
He went to the best situation of those three, and yeah, it sucked. He got drafted a little later, but he went into a team that had weapons all over the place and a defense and defensive superstars. He's got superstars to throw to and superstars to get the ball back for him. It's a great situation for him, and he's capitalizing very hard.
And you can really see his athleticism. I mean, it comes out.
He had some of these runs that were really nice. Yeah.
He had 9 carries for 66 yards, and if you're not good at math, that's over 7 yards a carry. And that is really good out of your quarterback. If you're getting 7 yards a carry out of your quarterback, it opens up a lot of things. They have to respect the fact that he's mobile and can move out the pocket, and he can just turn and run on you. And so now linebackers have to stay home. They can't just drop into coverage, and they can't just run up on him because he's got a good enough arm to beat you that way too.
And he scored a touchdown there running the ball that, he ran out to the right, pump faked it, got the guy just to hesitate a little bit, jammed on the brakes, and then cut back in.
Yeah.
And it looked good. And a little dive. I think he might have actually been down early, but,
it looked like
but they ruled it.
I'll tell you, it looked Russell Wilson-esque.
He plays like a little bit like him, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a lot taller, he's a lot bigger. But he has the same sort of mobility, not necessarily straight line speed, but he's smart enough to know when to run the football and where to go with the football. So,
and he stays in the pocket more than any of those. I mean, we don't have a big sample size of Tua, but he stays in the pocket more than Joe Burrow does. Joe Burrow's he's got that nervous. I gotta go. I gotta make something happen. He does a really good job of like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where the play is gonna be made from. So I'm gonna do it unless I absolutely have to. Right. He looks great. He looks very good.
Yeah, so right now, the Sunday night game is on, and Seattle is in Arizona playing the Cardinals. And the Cardinals have just scored to cut the lead to 10-7. That was Kyler.
Big play by D. Hopkins.
Kyler Murray, 35-yard touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins. A little push off, maybe. But that's kind of the thing. Everybody, they call it hand fighting. I love it when they call it hand fighting. No, he pretty much pushed him off, but that's okay. So it's 10-7 Seattle. Russell Wilson back out on the field. The Seahawks have the ball at the 25. 2.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. That game is on NBC. That's your Football Night in America game if you're wanting to go tune in and watch it. But please, by all means, tune in and turn the sound down and leave our program up. Monday night football looks like a defensive fiesta. How about let's call it that?
Yeah, fiesta.
The fiesta. It is Khalil Mack and the Chicago Bears, Aaron Donald and the Los Angeles Rams. Probably no score in this game. I don't know, but you're also dealing with two fairly prolific former Pac-12 quarterbacks in Nick Foles and Jared Goff.
Did you just refer to Nick Foles as a prolific Pac-12 quarterback?
Oh, he was really good at Arizona. Was he not?
I remember he was all right. I wouldn't say he was. He was good enough to get drafted, but I wouldn't say that he was really good. He didn't blow my mind on the regular.
All right, so now you've done it. So now challenge accepted. I feel like that when I watched Nick Foles play at Arizona, other than one game, I remember one game against the University of Oregon where he threw 4 interceptions. Yeah. Other than that game, I think he did very well for himself. I'm gonna.
He's got the Jared Goff thing where both of them were on teams that weren't overwhelmingly successful. they were the best player on their team that was okay.
Hold on to it because I'm looking for I'm looking for it right now.
Trying to find some stats.
His college stats, but I'm not sure that I'm going to be able. I have to go to
They
the
were
right
like
place.
a decade ago.
It was not okay. So he was drafted in 2012. So you're
You're
exaggerating.
a decade ago.
Exaggerating a little
His
bit.
freshman and sophomore year stats were a decade ago.
Okay, all right. Okay, hold on. I want to find. I want to find where the college football. Here we go. So we're gonna go here. So if you go to sportsreference.com, right? So a little plug for sportsreference.com. In 2007, by the way, he played for Michigan State, and then transferred to Arizona. Sat out a year, and then played at Arizona in 09, 10, and 11. Yeah, he threw his senior year at Arizona. He threw for 4,300 yards, 28 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, completion percentage of 69%. That's pretty good.
Sounds great.
That's better than most quarterbacks.
Sounds great for a team that won Pac-12 how many times?
He did rush for minus 103 yards this senior year. So there's that. But he did have a tackle. So
I'm not saying he wasn't decent. I just don't think he was a prolific Pac-12 quarterback.
Well, 7,500 yards.
He has 0 Pac-12 titles.
Well, now hold on. If you're only measuring how good a Pac-12 player is by how many titles he has, then everyone who played when USC was good sucked. Everyone else.
Oh, right? Which of those quarterbacks are still playing?
No, it doesn't matter. But I'm saying any other quarterback who played when USC was winning every title of the Pac-10. Right?
I'm using it as a small benchmark to say that okay, he was great, but where did that greatness translate to? What did it get him? Did it get him any ways? Was he a Heisman watch list person? Was he any of these things? Because I know for a fact he was none of those things, sure. And his team didn't win that much despite having 4,300 yards and 20 some touchdowns and 14 picks. And despite all those great stats, they still didn't win enough.
And I would argue the fact that if you throw for 4,300 yards on a team that sucks and isn't that good, you're awful good at quarterback.
Possibly. Well, no, possibly. What's the guy for Washington State a couple years ago who threw for just inordinate amounts of yardage, like 5,500 or something like that?
Well, last year that was Anthony Gordon, Flash Gordon.
Anthony Gordon, yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Just lit it up. Yeah. That team sucked.
Yeah, well,
congrats to scoring 55 points a game and losing.
But also, if you throw 70 times a game, you're going to get some yards.
So what happened? You leave college where you're able to just beat up on people through the air. You get to the NFL, and next thing you know, Nick Foles' career isn't exactly flying in the same direction.
Well, I would beg to differ. He's got a Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, and his winning percentage is through the roof in the playoffs.
And he's on a 5-1 Chicago Bears team as the starting quarterback now.
They look good. Well, he's only started one game, right? He came in the one.
Okay, but he's still the starting quarterback.
Oh no, I'm not discrediting that. I was trying to clarify that for my purposes.
Okay.
Like he only started the one, so he'll be starting moving forward. Which I mean, Mitch Trubisky sucked.
Let's be honest. He probably should have never been the starting quarterback to start the season. I think they should have gone.
My wife was so excited that they drafted Trubisky, and I was like, "This is the worst decision they're about to make."
I think they should have gone with Nick Foles right from the get go. But what do I know?
Why are you paying this guy to come in here to ride your bench? I'm confused by that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but
rookie you can go pick up to deal with an injury issue. You're not gonna pay some dudes because he demands Super Bowl money because he's got a Super Bowl.
Sure, he's got a ring. Yeah, he's got a lot more than most guys.
So he needs that Super Bowl paycheck. And if you're gonna pay that guy, you might as well use him.
He's one of only 3 NFL quarterbacks to ever beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So there you go.
It's him, Eli, and who's the other one?
I just throw that stat out. I don't do the research.
Gosh, I hope that's true.
It is. Tom Brady's 6-3 as a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. He's been in 9 Super Bowls, 6-3. So I know he's lost 3 times, and you're right. Eli was one of those, and Nick Foles is another.
Was Eli 2 of those?
He
lost to the Giants twice. I don't know.
We're gonna have to look that up. You know what we need? We need someone who has that already pulled up. Where's our stat guy? We're clearly not paying our staff enough.
He's currently drunk watching the Seahawks game.
He probably is. And by the way, still 10-7. Seattle still has the ball. 14 and a half minutes. They just kind of started the second quarter. Seattle has the ball on what looks to be the Arizona 31. It is 1st and 10, and handoff
By the
up
way,
up
it
the
was
middle,
Eli.
3 yards and a cloud of dust for Seattle right there. All right,
I just looked it up. It was Eli.
twice.
It was Eli beat him twice, and Nick Foles beat him once.
Eli is unbeaten against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
It's a pretty impressive stat.
He's
for
unbeaten
sure.
in the Super Bowl period. He's 2-0.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's talk about Odell Beckham Jr. for a second. Injured today in the win. Not sure exactly how serious the injury is.
They're fearing it might be pretty major.
Yeah, I mean, he was walking gingerly, but he was walking. And I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see because sometimes they look worse than they are, and obviously they haven't taken pictures or done anything yet. So we'll get that word and update on the next show. But let's also talk about apparently injuries can slow down Odell Beckham, but he doesn't think that COVID can because on Wednesday he said in an interview when someone asked him about he had been feeling sick and he took a COVID test and it was negative, and he said in an interview that he was never concerned that he'd test positive or contract the virus. And the quote is, "No, not in an ignorant or an arrogant way. I just don't think COVID can get to me. I don't think it's going to enter this body. I don't want no parts of it. And it don't want no parts of me. I think it's a mutual respect." And I love that confidence that the virus respects you, but I feel like that's not how it works.
Do you think he had a heart-to-heart with COVID?
It's a sit down
and said, "Look, you stay over there, and I'll stay over here."
A man-to-man thing, right? Yeah, I don't want no parts of me.
I don't want trouble.
Okay, I mean, all right.
It's a wild comment to make. It sounds crazier than it is. I'm almost willing to bet that he was just being goofy on purpose.
It could be, and he could.
But the thing is, when you see something in print later on, it doesn't seem like goofiness. It seems like stupidity.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now. That it looked like he made a really dumb statement, but he was probably just joking.
And so
because you can't take anything seriously.
And if we're going to talk about really dumb things, let's also bring up the fact that LSU has banned him. Thanks to his cash after the national championship, his cash stunt where he was handing out cash to players, to LSU players, on the field, and it's on camera. And
turned and faced at the camera afterward.
Right. And LSU, I think, is losing scholarships over this.
Yeah, they're self-docking scholarships.
Yeah, 8 scholarships. And they've banned him for 2 years and I'm like, oh, okay.
He doesn't want to go there now. They're losing.
It's pathetic. Yeah, so I mean, there's no point. He only want to go support a winner, right? So,
hey, don't we all?
Odell Beckham Jr.
That was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen was him walking out there and giving what's called cash dabs to athletes, and then turning and he was drunk or high or something. Like you can see he's got that 1,000-yard stare in his eyes. Like he was some kind of way, and he's out here just acting a fool. And then the school is like, "Oh, well, it was fake money." Odell wouldn't be caught dead handing out fake money. I don't want to hear it. We're not buying it. And then they said afterward that, they gave it all back. After it was fake,
right?
Then they gave it back.
Why would they give it back if it was fake?
Exactly. Right. They couldn't keep the monopoly money?
Right.
All right.
I mean, it wasn't yellow or pink money, so yeah.
Yeah. If you'd been handing out pink money, I would have known something was up.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
and then of course this comes out a little bit later, like, oh yeah, well,
and as we all know, monopoly money is smaller anyway, so you wouldn't know. Anyway, so Odell Beckham Jr., our player of the week. So there's that. So want to give you a quick Formula One update. Lewis Hamilton won Sunday's Portuguese Grand Prix over teammate Valtteri Bottas, who finished second, and third place Max Verstappen. It was Hamilton's 92nd career Formula One race victory, setting a new all-time record, breaking the tie he had held with Formula One legend Michael Schumacher. So there's your Formula One minute, even though it only took about 15 seconds.
It was a really short minute.
It's a metric minute.
It was a New York minute.
Yeah, and it really was. So second half of the show is brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Go to BossKittyShop.com for your yarns, notions, and Boss Kitty merchandise, or to pick up a BossKittyShop.com gift card. Use the code Wear Your Mask at checkout. Receive free U.S. domestic shipping on orders of $50 or more. And you can tune in to BossKittyLive.com at 6 p.m. every Monday and Wednesday and 11 a.m. every other Sunday. And you can join them for yarn craft and games and giveaways. Simi will be on there knitting something, and they'll be having trivia or giving something away. It's fantastic. Just tune in and watch. It's Boss Kitty, Yarn So Boss, you'll knit your pants. So, also, over the weekend, in case nobody noticed, there was the return of Big Ten football.
How exciting.
And they were touting it like it was a big thing. The very first game was Friday night, and that was Wisconsin. Number 14, Wisconsin throttled Illinois 45-7. And this was an Illinois team that I thought last year played pretty well, played above their heads. They were decent last year.
They had a couple really close games with teams they had no business playing against.
Right. And in this game, Graham Mertz, the quarterback for Wisconsin, went 20 of 21 for 248 yards and 5 touchdowns.
I was going to say 900.
Yeah, I know,
Holy
right?
cow.
That would be some sort of record. But he did set a record for completion percentage in a game, a Big Ten record, 92.8% completion percentage at 20.
Well, it's no 900 yards. That's still pretty impressive.
It's still pretty impressive, except for the fact that Justin Fields tied him on Saturday.
Of course he did.
When Ohio State beats Nebraska 52-17, Justin Fields goes 20 of 21 for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns in their throttling of Nebraska. And I want to talk about that game for just a second. This is number 5 Ohio State. Up 45-17 late in the game. Backup quarterback is in. They decide instead of running out the clock, taking a knee, they're going to run in another touchdown. And I know that we've talked about this, and I know that Ohio State has this tendency to do that.
Every year they do it at least once.
What bothers me about it is the response from Ryan Day, the head coach, which was when they asked about it after the game, he apologized, to Nebraska. Great. But he also said, well, I had a young quarterback in there, and I didn't think we had the personnel to take a knee. And my question to Ryan Day is, if you're listening, what personnel do you need to snap the ball and take a knee?
You need a center and a quarterback, and that's it.
Why is your backup quarterback not okay with taking a knee? He's never done that before? I guarantee he's done it before.
Yeah, it's a really simple process.
And all you have to do is fall down. You don't even have to take a knee. Just fall down. So there is no excuse for scoring a late touchdown in a game where you're throttling an opponent 45-17.
There's just a long history with them of scoring late and trying to run it up so that way they can jump up in the polls.
Yeah,
it's a trash team, and Ohio State won't let anybody have anything nice.
Yeah, it was a trash maneuver in trying to impress a college football playoff committee. I'm sure exactly what it's for. If you're watching the Seahawks Cardinals game, DeAndre Hopkins just fumbled. DeAndre Hopkins just fumbled the football after a catch, and Seattle recovered. It is 13-7 Seattle with 11-17 to go. They now have the ball. Punched out. Defensive lineman punched the ball out.
It sucks that you're telling me this because I had the game on, but my stream is behind.
Oh, sorry.
So they're just lining up to go right now, and I already know it's going to happen. And also, an extra suckage is that I have DeAndre Hopkins on my fantasy team.
Yeah, well, that's a thing. It's okay. He's already caught a touchdown pass, so the fumble's only, a couple points. It's not a big deal. Yeah. All right, so also college football over the weekend. Number 1 Clemson beat Syracuse 47-21. I don't find that to be a big deal. Liberty beat Syracuse last week. Number 2 Alabama beat Tennessee 48-17. So after someone decided Tennessee needed to be ranked, Tennessee has pretty much hit all the good teams, Georgia and Alabama, and hit rock bottom again. They're 2-3.
What's new?
Yeah.
Tennessee just can't quite get it figured out, and they've got this quarterback who is the epitome of trash, and they won't go anywhere else. I would just start playing your wide receivers at quarterback. Start doing anything else. There's a kicker out there who was a quarterback in high school, probably. Play him.
Yeah.
Play somebody else. This guy is not getting it done for you. Does he have incriminating photos of Jeremy Pruitt or something like that?
I'm sure.
Is that how he's hanging on to a job? It's blowing my mind.
But they did pretty much what every team does in the SEC that plays Alabama, which is fight for a little while and then just give up. Now we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 Notre Dame, 45-3 over a very I think it's a very bad Pittsburgh team that's 3-4. I don't know how they got 3 wins, but
Yeah.
they're not good at Pittsburgh. We already told you number 5 Ohio State won. Number 6 Oklahoma State beat Iowa State, and that was a big game. That was for control of the Big 12, and Oklahoma State found a way to win that one. Indiana with a huge upset over Penn State, 36-35 in overtime. And if you watch that game, you watch the end of that game where Indiana let Penn State score this touchdown so that they could have the ball back with a chance to tie the game and send it to overtime. And the Penn State running back realizes at about the 1 that he's going way too fast and he could fall down and get and run out the clock probably. He doesn't, can't stop in time, falls into the end zone. They score and go ahead. Indiana takes the ball, goes down, scores, ties the game. They go into overtime and they win.
Shades of it was a preview of what Todd Gurley did today.
Right, it was the Atlanta.
He tried to stop at the 1 and
did you
fell
see
in.
him try and fall? It looked like someone shot him. Just stopped and fell sideways, but he couldn't avoid falling into the end zone.
It's pretty wild.
Number 9 Cincinnati was a 42-13 winner over SMU. Number 16 SMU. SMU is trying to start 6-0 for the second time in the last 2 seasons. Cincinnati looks like a pretty decent football team. I don't know how good they are because it's hard to tell in the American Athletic Conference who's good and who's not. But that looks like a legitimate football team that could beat somebody or surprise somebody.
They look fairly put together. We'll find out if we have a bowl season.
If we have a bowl season, right? Number 11 and overranked Miami beat Virginia 19-14. Barely a winner over a team that's 1-4 at home. So they just, I don't know how Miami gets to this point where they're the number 11 team. Well, most of it's because there's nobody else has played. But this is...
Well, it's because they have a huge national fan base, and by ranking them consistently, you get games that seem to have interest because you're watching a ranked team play somebody else or whatever. It's the same thing every time. You're buying the fan base. It's the same thing with Notre Dame.
Well, here's a turn of events for you. Budda Baker for Arizona is now streaking down the sideline with the football. Russell Wilson, I think, threw an interception. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like he was looking for DK Metcalf, and he threw an interception. Budda Baker comes up with it and runs. This was okay. So Seattle had the ball at the 3, right? And
I'm very excited to see it because it hasn't happened yet on my screen.
Wilson throws a floater out to the right, and Baker jumps in front of it at about the 4-yard line and runs. Metcalf chased him down, but he ran all the way to the other 6-yard line. So this is a return.
Holy crap!
This is a return. Talk about jumping a route. That was the definition of jumping the route. And Metcalf, I got to give him a lot of credit. That is a lot of speed to make that tackle and prevent a touchdown. But it just changed the complexion of this game. Arizona looks like they're poised to at least score a field goal, maybe take a touchdown, take the lead. 8:54.
I'm waiting to hear AJ scream from the other room.
8:54 to go in the first half in that one. BYU 52-14 over Texas State. Yeah, it was Texas State. BYU is 6-0. North Carolina 48-21 winner over NC State. That's number 14 North Carolina. Okay. I think they're overrated too. Number 18 Michigan won at Minnesota 49-24. That looked like a better win. This looked like a better Michigan team than I've seen in a while. If Minnesota's any good. And I don't know that. So that's the first Big Ten game. We'll know more when Michigan plays Ohio State, right?
Yeah, it's real early in the Big Ten stuff. I don't know who's who yet.
Wake Forest got a big upset win. They won at home against Virginia Tech. Number 19 Virginia Tech fell 23-16 to Wake Forest in ACC action. Number 20 Kansas State rolled over Kansas 55-14. Les Miles' Kansas team is 0-5, 0-4 in the Big 12. Marshall, number 22 Marshall, a 20-9 winner over Florida Atlantic. Marshall is 5-0, 3-0 in Conference USA. And number 25 Coastal Carolina, a 28-14 winner over Georgia Southern in a Sun Belt Conference game. Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers, are 5-0.
Classic Coastal Carolina.
Classic Coastal Carolina. And I actually watched them play the other day, and they look good. They look like a good football team, but it's hard to tell against the competition until they play somebody of any, good that is good. You just can't tell how good they are.
Right.
So there's a play right there for Arizona. Kyler Murray, took the ball and rolled out. It looked like a designed roll run to the left. He loses a yard on 3rd and goal. It's 4th and goal now for Arizona. Field goal team's going to have to come on.
Boo.
Yeah, so it was a designed run with kind of looked like an option to maybe shuffle pass, but there was nobody in front of him to shuffle it to, and Seattle just read it. Just strung it out to the left, and there was nothing there. So Cliff Kingsbury looks perplexed on the sideline. Handsome, but perplexed. So
Handsomely perplexed.
Right, that's what we're going to call it. So, how do we feel about Big Ten football coming back? How do you Ohio State clearly dominated a Nebraska team that was crying to play football.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't matter. None of it it doesn't matter,
right?
Because there's Ohio State and then there's everybody else.
Yeah,
in that conference. So if none of the other teams came back, we would probably still end up in the exact same place.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know. I don't. The Big Ten to me is one of those conferences where if someone beats Ohio State, great. Then we can talk. Until then, I mean, clearly Penn State wasn't ready to play football. They came out and lost to Indiana. Not that that's a terrible loss, but if you're the number 8 ranked team in the country, that's a terrible loss. Michigan looked decent against Minnesota, but I don't know. This is not the same Minnesota team from last year that was pretty good. I don't know how good they are because this is the first game, and I don't know how good either team is. And so until there's a body of work and you've only played your conference, I have no idea if you're going to be any good. It's going to be the same way with the Pac-12 when they come out. You don't know if any of these teams are any good until they play somebody that you know is good. And without having those non-conference games to start the season, you're not going to have any reference points.
Right. I mean, we're completely blank on it. Yeah. Week 1 is more just about reporting the scores. Week 2 is when we can kind of compare against what we've seen and kind of go from there.
Yeah. Without those inter-conference games, you have any idea what's going on. All right,
none whatsoever.
So World Series is in Game 5 tonight, and Game 4 was a classic. Game 4 of the World Series last night, Tampa Bay, Los Angeles. Los Angeles was leading 2-1 and had a 7-6 ninth inning lead last night in Game 4 with runners on first and second and 2 out. Tampa Bay's Brett Phillips singled to center, and Dodgers' Chris Taylor, the center fielder, who's actually a second baseman, misplayed the ball and allowed a run to score, threw the ball home. There was another error at the plate. I'm going to play the clip of the final hit from last night's game. This is Brett Phillips at the plate and for the Rays in Game 4 against the Dodgers.
Jansen. That is into center field. Here comes Kiermaier. Phillips has tied the game. Arose Arena coming around. Throw home. Now he stumbles. But the ball gets away. Tampa Bay wins it. Brett Phillips, Game 4 hero.
So 2 errors for the Dodgers on the final play of the game, and a base running blunder by Tampa Bay that turns out to save him from being out. It turns out to save Arozarena. He came around third and hesitated because he knew the throw was going to beat him from the outfield. But by doing that, Dodgers catcher Will Smith doesn't realize that he has stopped and turns to sweep the tag, and the ball goes flying out of his glove. There's no runner there. But then he can score because now the ball's away and it's another error. 2 errors on that final play allowed the Tampa Bay to escape with an 8-7 win and even the series of 2 games apiece. They are playing Game 5 right now. And for some reason, I don't have any kind of score or update on the screen. I don't know what happened or where it is. But let me find it for you because
it's 3-2, the Dodgers, bottom of the third.
There you go. Bottom of the third. That game's on Fox if you want to watch it. Those games have been entertaining. I was upset about baseball for their season, and they're arguing with each other and all this stuff that they, went through to fight over to get a 60-game season. And then I was upset about, teams that are under 500 are making the playoffs. But this World Series has been entertaining. I'm happy that it's the 2 teams with the best record in baseball that got there.
Right.
And so now everything seems better. I'm okay with it. And
it seems like it's going okay.
Right. And now it seems like these are games you actually could watch, although last night's game was 4 hours and 10 minutes.
Right.
So that tends to put a damper on your evening. Because that's pretty much all you're going to see is that.
Yep.
So it was it was a good game last night. It was fun to watch, and it was if you're a Rays fan, more power to you. That may have turned the whole series around for them. If the Dodgers hold on and win that game, get one more out, they move up 3-1, and this is effectively over. But the double error on that hit gives Tampa Bay the win, gives them a sense of, hey, we can still do this. Now it's 2-2, and the Rays are wearing those pretty powder blue uniforms, the designated home team here in Houston.
Yeah,
in the bubble.
In the bubble.
So, anyway, long story short, you can watch that game. It is top of the fourth right now. So, all right. So, also, let's talk a little bit about the Portland Timbers, who are still tied with the Seattle Sounders, but they are now tied for second place with the Seattle Sounders. They gave up a late game-tying goal Thursday night to Will Bruin of the Sounders, and it ended in a 1-1 tie. But that tie enabled Sporting Kansas City to leapfrog both Seattle and Portland as they beat Colorado 4-0. And that's 2 games in a row where Portland hasn't been able to close out a match after leading 1-0. And in stoppage time, after 90 minutes have been played, they give up a really late goal, and they've missed out on 4 points. They would be leading this conference by 3 points if they had closed out both those games. I'm going to play the final, the game-tying goal for you here. Here's a clip from...
Paulo's out, swinging ball, lifted in, a free chance and a goal, it's Will Bruin! Bruin's first MLS goal in over a year is a stoppage time equalizer for Seattle.
Woo! At the corner kick, Will Bruin the ball finds its way onto the feet of Will Bruin. He sends it past Steve Clark for the game-tying goal in stoppage time for Seattle. I don't know what their deal is. I've watched the Timbers play a lot of soccer over the last few years, and they seem like this kind of team all the time. I don't know why they can't just hold on to a lead. They get a lead, and then they just, stop playing. It's done. They give up. There's one lapse.
Kind of let it wash away.
Yeah, there's one lapse all of a sudden, and the game's tied. Granted, if they'd score more, this wouldn't be an issue. But, you've got a 1-0 lead, and it's late. We're the 90th minute. You've kept the team scoreless all game long. You can't be giving up corner kicks and mistakes late in the game to give the other team opportunities, and that's what they're doing. So, like I said, those 2 teams, Seattle and Portland, are tied for second now in the Western Conference behind Sporting Kansas City. I don't know how many games they have left on the schedule. They're coming very close to the end of the season. I want to say there's only 1 game left. Is that right? Do you know?
There shouldn't be much left on their schedule.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because after the bubble ended and all the other sports started, soccer kind of became the absolute last thing on my mind.
There are 4 games left. They have 4 games
left.
Not bad. They play the LA Galaxy on Wednesday, and then on next Sunday, the 1st, they play the Vancouver Whitecaps. Wednesday, the 4th, against Colorado, and then November the 8th against LAFC. Those are the last 4 games of the season. So Portland's pretty much secured themselves a playoff spot. But they could clearly be leading the conference and right now if they had just closed out some games. That's tough. It's tough to lose games that way. It's tough to have a lead and just give it up late. Anyway, so what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about NFL today? What's the most surprising thing from NFL football today?
The most surprising thing from NFL football today was that the Raiders look incompetent.
Yeah,
they don't look smart. They don't look like they know what they're doing. John Gruden doesn't look like a good coach. It all looks bad.
And that's a team that beat Kansas City.
Yeah, everyone's allowed to have a bad day. Raiders fans will let you know that that's not, that's not what happened. Yeah, but everyone's allowed to have a bad day.
Yeah. How about over the weekend from college football? Anything from college football that was surprising to you?
I didn't get to watch much college football this weekend because there was nothing surprising. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There was nothing surprising about college football. Alabama won, plot twist. Ohio State won, plot twist. Texas is kind of back, maybe not, but they're playing a less than stellar team who's COVID-ridden, plot twist. There was nothing surprising. College football was boring this weekend. In 2 weekends, the Ducks will be back, Pac-12 football will be back, and it'll be exciting again. and we'll actually get accurate rankings featuring all 5 power conferences. So that'll be nice. But this was the most boring weekend of college football. And I turned on the Tennessee game, and I half watched it. I usually try and spend my first day after the week just relaxing, and so football is usually the escape. But when it's frustrating, it's just like, I don't really care to watch too much.
And so let everybody know that Wisconsin's quarterback Graham Mertz also tested positive for COVID after the game. So there may be a fallout. I mean, there's going to be some sort of who knows what, but he won't be the only one on the team, obviously, because he touched everyone. So it's going to be hard. Just like you've seen in the NFL, there's going to be postponements, there's going to be cancellations, and everybody's going to have to be flexible. And it makes it really hard when you're trying to have a family football pick'em contest, and you can't tell who's playing any dang time. Just saying. But college football is going to be the same way, so you got to have a lot of patience because your team may, like Houston, who played one game at the beginning of the season and didn't play for 4 weeks. So, yeah, it makes it really hard to follow and stay with it. So anyway, college football, I'm excited that it's back. I'm not so excited about the Big Ten games. I love the fact that Penn State lost. I'm an underdog fan. I love underdogs just in general. And so anytime you get a chance for a big ranked, highly ranked team to lose to an unranked team, I'm all for it. So our next show, Friday, October 30th at 7 p.m. We're hoping to have a special guest on with us on the air. We're going to be talking about the NFL and Thursday night's game, and we'll preview the games on Sunday. NCAA football, what's coming this weekend. If there's any big matchups, we'll keep you posted on the World Series and how it is. And we'll let you know all the news that we think is interesting. # get your own show. Again, we're live streaming on YouTube every weekend. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. Email us, lammsports@gmail.com. Please go to the website, lammsports.com, and leave us a message. Tell us how we're doing. Send us an email. You can tweet us, whatever you want to do, but just tell us what you want to hear. You want to hear something? If I'm not covering enough, I'm not doing enough F1. You want 5 extra seconds of Formula One? I'll do it. Just let me know. And we're aiming to please. So we want to thank our sponsors, which are The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, and Stavenstone Wine Estates in Hood River. We will have a trivia question next week. I promise. We'll be back with a trivia question next week. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you all next week.